Superboy Prime, one of the most controversial and complex characters in the DC universe, is a figure whose existence challenges the very fabric of reality. His story is filled with tragedy, power, and moral ambiguity, making him a fascinating character to explore. To understand who Superboy Prime is, we must first understand the origins of his character, his role in major DC storylines, and the philosophical implications of his actions. Superboy Prime, often referred to simply as Prime, is an alternate version of Superman, hailing from Earth Prime, a reality in the DC multiverse where no superheroes exist. He is a young version of Clark Kent, who was raised in a world much like our own, without the powers and responsibilities that the iconic Superman is known for. His powers and abilities are incredibly similar to Superman's, but his journey diverges in ways that make him one of the most dangerous and tragic characters in the entire DC universe. Superboy Prime first appeared in DC Comics Presents number 87 in 1985. In this early appearance, he was introduced as a teenage version of Superman, living in a reality where Earth was similar to our own. In his world, the people were ordinary, and there were no superheroes. No Justice League, no Batman, no Wonder Woman, no Green Lanterns. Just a world without the mythic beings who would eventually define the DC universe. But in a twist, Superboy Prime discovers that he does have the same abilities as Superman. His powers manifest early in his life, and he starts to embrace them, albeit with no guidance from the heroes he could never encounter in his own world. But this idyllic existence is not meant to last. The death of his parents in a tragic accident causes him to spiral into a deep depression, leading to a transformation that sets him on the path toward becoming one of the most formidable antagonists in the DC universe. In a cruel twist of fate, Earth Prime is destroyed during the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths, 1985 to 1986, which eradicates many alternate realities and alters the fabric of the multiverse. Superboy Prime, along with a few others, is trapped in the time stream, surviving only because of his incredible power. He watches as his world, his reality, ceases to exist, and he is left alone, stranded in the post-crisis world. This pivotal moment marks the beginning of Superboy Prime's tragic descent into villainy. He is angry, disillusioned, and filled with a deep sense of loss. Unlike the Superman of the main continuity, Superboy Prime does not have the same moral grounding. He sees the multiverse as flawed and yearns for the perfection of his lost world. He doesn't accept the idea that Earth Prime was simply a part of a multiverse that was destroyed. This denial and anger turn him into a much darker character. Superboy Prime's hatred for the current multiverse and the heroes who inhabit it grows stronger over time. He comes to believe that the world he lost was perfect, and that the new Earths and heroes are somehow inferior. This belief leads him to make decisions that affect not just the lives of the heroes he fights, but the very fabric of reality itself. One of the key moments in Superboy Prime's transformation occurs in Infinite Crisis, 2005 to 2006, a storyline that explores the return of the multiverse and the rise of a new version of Superboy Prime. He emerges as a central antagonist, manipulating events to reshape the universe in his own image. Unlike the classic Superman, Superboy Prime's sense of justice is twisted, and his methods are cruel and extreme. In Infinite Crisis, Superboy Prime is revealed to be part of a plan to restore Earth Prime and destroy the current multiverse. To him, the heroes are weak and corrupt, and he believes he is the only one who can fix everything. His powers are limitless, making him an incredibly dangerous adversary. He's able to go toe to toe with powerful figures like Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, often proving to be an unstoppable force of nature. His rage, combined with his superhuman abilities, makes him a truly terrifying villain. Superboy Prime's role in the destruction of the multiverse reaches its peak in the events of Final Crisis and the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Throughout these stories, his actions serve as a reminder of the catastrophic consequences of unchecked power. Prime's obsession with recreating his perfect Earth leads him to engage in a series of battles with the Justice League and the Teen Titans, leaving devastation in his wake. One of the most chilling aspects of Superboy Prime is his complete lack of empathy. While heroes like Superman and Batman fight for justice, Superboy Prime is motivated solely by a desire for vengeance against the heroes who have moved on without him. He blames them for his world's destruction, even though their actions were often beyond their control. His sense of entitlement, combined with his immense power, makes him a dangerous foe for anyone who crosses his path. One of the most poignant aspects of Superboy Prime's story is the tragedy of his existence. His desire to recreate his lost world and his belief that he is the only one who can restore it is driven by deep personal loss. He's not simply a villain for the sake of villainy. He's a deeply scarred and broken individual, unable to accept the reality of his situation. His actions are driven by a distorted sense of grief and the inability to let go of the past. Despite his destructive tendencies, Superboy Prime's presence in the DC universe has a lasting impact on the characters he interacts with. His actions throughout major events like Infinite Crisis and Final Crisis lead to significant changes in the status quo. Heroes are forced to question their own values and motivations in the face of a villain who is essentially a darker, more powerful reflection of themselves. In addition, Superboy Prime's existence challenges the very notion of the multiverse. He represents the dark side of power and the dangers of unchecked strength. While characters like Superman use their abilities to protect others, Superboy Prime's powers serve as a reminder of what can happen when those abilities are used for selfish purposes. His struggle is ultimately a metaphor for the dangers of living in the past and refusing to adapt to the present. In the DC Rebirth era, Superboy Prime's role is re-examined, with the character once again playing a key role in the larger storyline. His influence is felt across multiple storylines, and his tragic fate continues to haunt the DC universe. One of the most interesting aspects of Superboy Prime's character is the philosophical questions he raises. His journey is not just about power and conflict. It's about loss, grief, and the struggle to find meaning in a world that is constantly changing. He's a reflection of the way we all deal with loss. Some of us move on, while others refuse to accept it and instead try to recreate what was lost. Superboy Prime's obsession with recreating his Earth Prime world reflects the universal desire to return to a simpler, more idealized time. However, his refusal to accept the changes in the multiverse demonstrates the dangers of nostalgia and the unwillingness to grow. In the end, Superboy Prime's tragedy is that he can never go back to the world he lost, and he is unable to move forward in a healthy way. This struggle between nostalgia and progress is at the heart of his character. In a sense, Superboy Prime is a warning about the dangers of living in the past, a lesson that is relevant not just in the context of comic books, but in real life as well. Superboy Prime is one of the most complex and tragic characters in the DC universe. His story is one of power, loss, and obsession, and his role in shaping the multiverse is a testament to the destructive potential of unchecked anger and grief. While he is often portrayed as a villain, His motivations are rooted in deep emotional pain, making him a tragic figure rather than a straightforward antagonist. Whether he is battling the Justice League or attempting to reshape reality itself, Superboy Prime represents the dark side of power and the consequences of refusing to accept the past. His story serves as a reminder that no matter how powerful we become, we must learn to move forward and accept the changes that life brings.